Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to my channel for my review of Fairy Tail 100 Requests, where I'm going to spend the entire video talking about a giant, terrifying dragon that can turn into a very attractive woman who is able to magically walk between dimensions and universes as if she's going from her kitchen to her dining room. Okay, so all joking aside, this chapter actually was really interesting, and if you can't tell from the possible title of this video and also the title of the chapter, it pretty much spent the entire time giving us insight into exactly what the plan is of Selene the Moon Dragon God and kind of giving us more insight into what kind of character she is. And mostly what we can tell from this chapter about her is that she's kind of a total bitch. And I mean, before I even get into the actual chapter events, I gotta ask, because of the way she's represented in the chapter, I really want to know, what is with Hiro Mashima and making the brand new, like freshly introduced, attractive female characters in Fairy Tail into being total fucking cunts. I mean, we saw it happen back in the original Fairy Tail with Evergreen when she was first introduced. She was a total bitch. When Minerva was first introduced, she was a complete bitch, probably the most bitchiest character in the entire series. We saw it with Irene, even though Irene's backstory led into her to developing into that bitchy character, she was still, when she was first introduced, a total bitch. And then we also saw it earlier in this series, 100-Year Quest, with Faris when she was first introduced. She was a complete and total bitch. Now, we end up finding out why she was that way, and her character's actually done a complete 180 since then. But still, it really makes me wonder why Hiro does it this way. And I mean, alright, obviously not all female characters, especially the attractive ones who get introduced in the series, are total bitches at first. I mean, we saw plenty of female characters in the original Fairy Tail being introduced that actually were good people. But it seems like, at the very least, the ones that I get drawn to based off of their design and their appearance early on are total bitches. But I guess that kind of says more about me and the kind of characters I like versus what Hiro's writing style is. But anyway, getting into the actual chapter, we actually spend a majority of it with Faris basically kind of giving her backstory and kind of her side of the sequence of events that led them to where they are right now. And what we end up finding out from Faris is that, and this is something that even Toka didn't know, and this is why when she kind of talked to everybody in the last chapter and mentioned the fact that Faris told her that Elantir was in danger, even though as far as Toka was aware and everyone else in Elantir was aware, the world seemed perfectly fine. It didn't seem like there was any like world-ending events going on. But what we end up finding out from Toka is that, or not Toka, from Faris in this chapter, is that what we thought was a good thing in Elantir, which was basically the overabundance of magic that they have, that basically if any character over from Earthland went over there, they would get a major power boost. And that's actually something we all predicted would end up happening with Natsu in the game. They would go over there and they'd actually get an insane power boost done to them. Even though they all considered that to be a good thing when they first heard about it, what we find out from Faris is that that's actually kind of a bad thing for their planet, because of the fact that their planet is so overabundant with magic. It's slowly burning it out, and if the magic continues to grow and grow at the rate it is, then eventually all living creatures and possibly even the planet will be wiped out. But the reason why that hasn't happened just yet is because of Faris' family. As we find out in this chapter, she actually belongs to a family of priests and priestesses that actually travel around the world using their whiteout abilities, as, you know, the same abilities we saw her use in the previous arc. And basically any place in Elantir that's overabundant with magic to the point where it's going to end up causing damage to the world and humans and everyone else that's living there, they use their whiteout abilities to basically erase a good amount of that magic so that it doesn't do any damage to the actual people. Her family is kind of like the Men in Black, you know, just a secret organization that no one in their world actually knows about, doing work that no one knows they're doing, that actually keeps everyone safe and actually lets everyone have, you know, normal, happy lives. That is until Selene eventually found her way over to Elantir, which we end up finding out that in the flashback, Selene apparently was looking for a place like Elantir for a long time. And when she eventually found it, she was very happy to find someone like Faris, who has the ability to basically white out magic, because she immediately, alright, so this is crazy. So she immediately, as soon as she meets Faris, or at least the way it's presented in the flashback, as soon as she meets Faris, she gives her the worst ultimatum that Faris could have. She says that either I am going to use my immense abilities and power to destroy all of Elantir and every single living creature here, or you're going to go to my home, you're going to go to Earthland, and you're going to destroy the 4 other dragons who are as powerful as me, someone who dwarfs you in power. How it blew my mind when I read the part of the chapter how she could possibly think, even with Faris' whiteout ability, how she could possibly think that Faris could succeed in maybe killing one. Maybe she could kill one. But to think that she could use her abilities to kill off 4 other dragons as strong as her, when if she could do that, she would have just used that to kill off Selene. And this is why in the beginning of the video I called Selene a total bitch, because as we find out later on in the chapter, she actually had no plans of Ferris succeeding in this plan. She actually sent Ferris over there, as we saw in the last arc, with the complete wrong information of basically using the orbs on the Wood Dragon God's limbs to weaken him to the point where she can use her whiteout abilities to kill him off, which, as we end up finding out in the last arc, didn't weaken him at all, but actually woke him up and basically let him regain his original strength. And we had to find out that the reason why she did that was simply because she thought it would be entertaining. She literally she threatened all Valentyr and forced Ferris to go into a different world and face off against a dragon as powerful as Selene in order just to not be bored. If you can't tell, despite the fact that I really like the design for Selene as we see her in this chapter and as we already saw her in the last arc, the way she has been represented so far based off this chapter really makes me hate the character. But anyway, like I said, we get Ferris's, side events, and we see because of the fact that Natsu and them, they're obviously all good people, and once they can tell that Ferris is actually being very genuine in what she's saying, they all almost immediately, it seems like that they all almost immediately were going to just basically not only forgive Ferris for what she's done, but agree to help her in driving Selene out of Valentyr and saving their planet. But before that could happen, this is when Selene actually shows up. And the reason why she was able to show up here just as Ferris was finishing basically giving her side of the events was because, as we saw in the last arc, Selene is seemingly able to not only travel between dimensions, but be able to see at least people she's interacted with in those other dimensions that she goes to. So she was actually watching Ferris the entire time that she was doing her plan with Alderaan in the last arc, and seemingly she was watching her as she was giving the play-by-play to the events to Natsu and the gang in this chapter. Now, as soon as she shows up, she immediately snipes Ferris. Now, we end up finding out later on in the chapter that Ferris is fine, Selene missed the vitals and she's not in any real danger of dying. But the way I see it, if someone as powerful as Selene really wanted to kill Ferris at that moment, she would have. There would have been nothing Natsu and them could have done. Especially because of the fact that they were in Idolus and they had no magical abilities whatsoever at its current point. So if she really wanted to kill Ferris, she could have. So there's a reason why she didn't in that part. There's some kind of grand plan that Selene has, whether it be an actual plan that she is concocting because she has a goal, or it's because she's just completely bored. But she has some kind of plan that she's going to go forward with in this upcoming arc that we're going to be dealing with her. And Ferris plays a part of it. Now, I really gotta give Natsu credit in this chapter because it takes a lot of balls for him, and while they were still in Idolus, after Ferris gets sniped by Selene, he charged at her full force, no magic whatsoever, no magical abilities whatsoever going against a god dragon who still had all of her power, and he charged at her headstrong. And you know what, I could not help, because of the fact that Selene had been a total bitch and I really did not like her in this chapter, I could not help but cheer for Natsu in that scene where we actually see him jump up to attack her. Now, of course, obviously, he wasn't going to do anything, but still, I gotta give it to Natsu. And you know what, even Selene is actually very impressed by the way Natsu just charges at her, even though he doesn't have any magic at this point. And she even says, you know what, the way you're charging at me like this, and the fact that you were able to defeat Alderaan, you're definitely Ignil's son, and you're definitely Ignil's brother. And this is when she seemingly gets a little interest in Natsu. He kind of piques her interest, and she decides to transform into her dragon form, which, by the way, so far, her dragon form, out of all the guys that we've seen so far, is possibly my favorite design. So, it really sucks that the character I like the least out of all the dragons is the one that has my favorite design. But anyway, she turns into her dragon form, which, when she transforms into it, she creates a giant moon behind her that is so vast, and her magical power is so enormous that she turns the entire sky into night. Like, she literally it is the middle of the day when they're having this conversation, this confrontation with her. And as soon as she turns into her dragon form, it is almost like it's the dead of night. And she uses her dragon form to basically transport all of them there, everyone besides Idolus Wendy, over into Elendil. And that's pretty much where the chapter ends, with everyone just showing up over there and basically starting off the confrontation of them fighting off against her. So yeah, that's pretty much all that happened in the chapter. And like I said, this actually was a really interesting chapter because we got to see pretty much Ferris do a 180 in her character, and we got to find out more about Selene and kind of what her plan is, even though we don't really know why she's doing any of this besides the fact that she seemingly is very bored. And we got to see exactly what kind of character she is, which again, like I said, total bitch. But I'm hoping as this arc continues, as we, are exploring more at Elentier and we see more of her and their interactions with her, we end up finding out why she's doing all this, that, maybe there's some kind of like grander plan that she has besides just being bored and want to sate her boredom. Because, I mean, really, the way she's kind of playing around everyone, the way she's basically just kind of just doing things in the shadows and manipulating people, she has to have some kind of grander plan. It can't just be that she just wants to have fun and basically just be entertained by everyone else's misery. There has to be some other motive. And I'm interested in finding out what that is. And I mean, don't get me wrong. If we end up finding out that Selene is doing this literally just because of the fact that she's bored, I'm not going to be upset. That's also interesting in itself. I'm just hoping that there actually is some kind of grander plan. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much it for the video. That's it for the chapter. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'm sorry I didn't have a video for the last chapter. I recorded it like 6 different times and was never just happy with the way it came out. So I just didn't upload it. But this one, I'm actually very happy with the way I recorded it. So you'll definitely be getting this chapter. Obviously, you're watching the video. But anyway, guys, I'm going to be looking forward to doing the video on the next chapter in 2 weeks. But until then, I will catch you guys possibly on Thursday night, Friday night sometime with the spoilers for Black Clover's upcoming chapter, and then, of course, sometime this weekend with the actual chapter review. But thanks for watching again, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.